Good morning. Another crazy level of awareness coming in today. Where to start? So I basically said to start this post that the difference between heaven and being in hell is in our perspective to start. And once we start to be aware that what we think of the world, what we've been programmed into, what our perspective is, what our story is, what our beliefs are, etc., will translate everything that happens to us into a good or bad, fight or flight, dark versus evil, etc. Now, once we start to be aware that we're not aware of it, but we are creating our reality in every moment. And the only way to keep a person trapped in their reality and make them think that they're not the God that they are is to keep teaching us and reinforcing to us that we aren't. And it's a mind fuck once you start to see underneath all this kind of stuff that we're in a cage of our own design. We're in a cage that constantly teaches us and tells us that we're not good enough, or we're not worthy, or we're being attacked, etc. And I've spoken to this, and it's okay. It's normal. It's part of the awakening process to go through those stages. Oh, darkness is attacking me. And in a way it is, but in a way it's also giving a gift. So when we're in a victim perspective that things are happening to us, and that triggers the fuck out of me when people call me a victim or whatever. But we're all a victim if we're trapped in our 3D reality right now. And once we admit that we might be coming from that victim of being powerless to what's going on, to not taking our true divine power back, life can look like hell. And when you see the dark stuff that's going underneath, and I can call it dark, or I can call it the fist on the toothpaste tube that's forcing us to come out and start to see the light of reality, and that we are part of that reality and we're creating into that reality in all these ways. Look at the densities of some of the V's and other things that have been going on in our world. It's like a crushing fist that's forcing us to either be crushed and comply and follow all these rules, or it's allowing us to squirt out the top of the toothpaste tube so that we can start to take our power back and start to realize that we're there. Stop giving us an opportunity to stop living in the societal conditioning, living in a place where you can be easily controlled and manipulated, because that makes it easy for one or two to project their reality into the whole of humanity. And we're talking like 99% of humanity is under this control, and we don't just pop out of the top of it. We don't just levitate in love and light. We get periods where we're in bliss and everything looks good, and we get periods when we're in our doldrums and things are hell. That bliss is the heaven. So we kind of levitate back and forth. And I want you to just spend a minute and just realize a couple things. So what I've seen from my experience is the more I'm negative and down, the more negative and down I get, and the more the world looks like hell, and I want to die, and I don't want to be here. And every time I'm forced to question myself, I'm forced to question my reality. Is this true? Is this what I want in my mind? Is this me or is this them? And if it's them, we kind of choose to be the victim to it. Like, oh, I can't change this. This is all what it is. This is somebody else is talking bad about me, or based on my other post calling me a creep or whatever. But that's just their perspective based on a perspective that's fucked up just like mine. And to align with their perspective probably makes me align with conditioning and control and other things and old paradigms. And if I sit here and I say, okay, that's their perspective, this is mine. Mine is not the same. Mine does not have people like that. Mine is all about people that are going to awakening. Maybe afraid inside from programs and stories and stuff that they had in their past. And the idea of creepiness or whatever is when people are locked and trapped in a paradigm that they can't even understand and they feel completely caged by it, their perspectives get all mangled up because it has to align. Your brain will twist and turn every bit of your reality into whatever you believe. And then it'll make what appears outside to line up. And that's how the subconscious works. If you believe something in your heart, maybe you're not even consciously aware of it, it was programmed by your mother, your father, your church, your whatever, you will see reflections of it everywhere because that validates you and it makes you feel safe, or safe in control, or safe in being compliant, or other things. And we're constantly looking for that, but we're grasping outside of ourselves for it. So now as all these bad things happen to us, like bad dating experiences, as recent ones for me, or you lost your job, or things aren't working out with your partner, or you're in a divorce or whatever, all of a sudden you're going to find out that it's the fist on the toothpaste tube saying, this marriage isn't working. Maybe you got to look differently. And then go outside the idea of societal control where your parents say you got to stick with your spouse forever and the church says the same thing and it's evil if you have a divorce or whatever. And it's squeezing you to go against all these things that you thought kept us safe, but we're there to collapse us, to get us into a pleasing. And do you think a sheep is bred for its voraciousness and its non-attention to authority? And I'm talking a real sheep. I'm not calling people sheep. I'm just saying the best sheep that a shepherd could ever have is the ones that aren't compliant in the eyes of control, or that are compliant all the time. Sorry. The ones that aren't compliant, you're going to cull from the herd. And do you get a sheepdog that's confident and whatever? It doesn't just lash out at everything. He knows what he's going to do, and he'll bark and he'll jump and he'll move around to guide those sheep into a place where they can feel safe under the shepherd. Well, how much of this world, like government leaders and religions and spiritual gurus and all this kind of stuff, want to pretend to be that shepherd, and it wants you to be compliant. So it teaches stories that make you safe, and they can listen to you, and you don't scare them by being triggered in the open. This is what we've been bred into believing is good. But the best person now is the person that questions everything. The best person is the person that learns the tools to be vulnerable and scared and go up against all their conditioning. And then some magic happens, because by doing that and being vulnerable in front of other people and showing your process like I do, then they get courage. They get an insight underneath from what I've learned. And all of a sudden they're awakening too. And it's not anything about me. It's everything about everyone. Because I want to have a playground filled with people that aren't the sheep like we were talking about. I want sheepdogs. I want people that are going to come in and nuzzle me and nudge me and tell me holy shit, or bark at me once in a while in accountable ways to say, holy cow, why are you thinking that way? That direction bad, that's the cliff. This direction good, that's the water. And we can use those things outside of us, but we just got to find out what's the sheepdog and what's the controller at the top that's now trying to make everybody compliant and easy to control. So heaven can be as simple as taking your power back, smiling at yourself, realizing this last couple days, all this stuff that's been hell in some of my other posts made me look at it. Am I really a creepy person? And many people responded and said, I don't feel that in your energy. What the hell are they talking about? So you're going to learn after a while that people speak about themselves at other people because they're uncomfortable with themselves. And when you trigger them, they actually say what they are and try and paint it on you so that they feel better about themselves and you'll deal with their shit instead of them having to do the work. That's what's going on all over the place. So that can put you into hell, or that can put you into this big juicy smile saying, this is heaven, because now I'm seeing somebody reflecting light on shadow. And that might have been true of me before, but now it's not. So now all of a sudden that's into heaven. And then I can see, okay, all these gritty little bits that are going on that I used to call hell or bad or dark or evil or whatever, they're the toothpaste tube. They're that sheepdog that's trying to guide me to a newer perspective. And then once I take that newer perspective, I open and I enlighten and I awaken, and it's not hell anymore. The other stuff you can start to see is there's the darkest dark gives the lightest light. That thing that was hell, that person projecting on me, that thing that triggers me is the very thing that's purifying me and cleansing me and making me aware of where my thoughts aren't good against myself and where things have been bound and manipulated and societally conditioned to take my power away. That's our heaven now. And so we can start to see that with kind of joy. And it's like when it feels gritty and it's not fun or whatever, you come out the other side and you're squashed, but you're free of that thing, that big chunk of dried up toothpaste in the toothpaste bottle or whatever, all the other stuff went around it. And all there's left is that little nugget that nobody wanted anyways. And it came out, the good parts came out the top, the rest got stuck. And you don't need that husk of old control, and we're pushing through it. So when you're feeling pressured the most, start to see that as the heaven emerging. When you're feeling pressured the most, don't go into, fuck, this is happening again. Oh, I'm not worthy. Oh, I'm whatever. Because that's the old condition. That's that rock in the toothpaste tube that blocked you up, and you took them on, and look for the awareness underneath. Why am I doing this? Why does this feel bad? Why are they saying that? Why are these things? And then be vulnerable about it. Share it with other people, but in an accountable way, like, oh, fuck, all people are bad or whatever. I saw it across from where I park my truck. There's this little, there's a F-150 truck that says, God hates us all on the top in big white text letters. And I looked at it and I said, holy fuck. I said, that's a person that's in hell. If you think that, and I've thought that, and I'll be honest about it, I hate him sometimes too, but I don't understand these reflections, how the dark and the really tight squashing that really makes me want to vomit and die is the very thing that's making me make a new choice. And if you look at those new choices, you're going to see something too. And that's what I'm trying to share here is perspective. I see Elohim posted something here. Heaven and hell are the same thing. It's all about perspective, happiness, sadness, black, white, etc. Everything is part of the same. We believe in duality. But we believe in duality. So I'm going to add to that, and that's beautiful. It's the same thing I'm saying. The ego wants to keep us in duality. If you understand, I've read the book, The Course in Miracles, and the Course in Miracles basically say the only way we could separate from God was this thing called a mad thought. One day, one of us, as part of God, or we as part of God, says, what if we were separate from God? And we instantly manifested. And guess what? All of a sudden, we came into separate beings. So we became this fractals of God so that God could live out experience in many more facets. But to be able to do that, the ego had to be created. It was a force that comes into us and was created by us to shield us, to blank us out from God, to build a wall or the veil we're talking about, to say that you don't have all the powers of God. Because if you didn't have that, guess what? You would be permanently stuck in experience going back and forth to God because you'd never really realize, you'd never have this sadness, this sorrow, this separation without the ego. So once we start to be aware that our ego is a tool, it's a part of God, a part of us that we created to allow us to have a human and separated experience. And that allows us to get to these depths of whatever. If everything was light and love, or if we were in God and we were all darkness and living all this stuff without that separation, reality would be a mess. But we've been separated from love. We've been separated from all these things that are critical to us being God. And now we're on a journey back to be able to see the ego, to see its effect, to see how it shrinks us and how it's twisted everything that's come into our experience into some level of darkness that's outside of ourselves that we have no control over. And then we hate it and distract it from seeing our ego. So now we can see our ego. Oh, that ego is trying to keep us separate so we can complete this experience and we can go through awakening. And once we're aware of that, it's like, oh, I love you, ego, but you're going to sit in the corner today because you're not serving me by telling me everybody's evil and this is all bad and I'm not deserving of a relationship and blah, 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 because that's the only tools it has left to piss you off and make you feel bad. And then you step up and you say, thank you. Thank you. Use the arigato. That's Japanese. Arigato is the way it's spelled with an R, but they pronounce R's and L's. Arigato. Thank you. Thank you, ego, for all this shit that you showered on my face and my body and made me feel bad about myself. And thank you for the experience that I got. And thank you for the new being that's there. And I have refined myself into purity and light. And then you sit in bliss. You sit in paradise. You sit in heaven instead of being killed by your ego all day long. Take a look next time. Sit down, be quiet when you're feeling really bad, and just command your ego forth to sit in front of you. Have a discussion with them. Hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm trying to protect you. They'll say a lot, and they'll put rules and worries and discomfort in you over and over and over again, all in trying to protect you. It's also armor. It's also things that make our world so small. They'll protect us down to the point we can't do nothing anymore. So it has control. So it doesn't lose. It doesn't lose you. And then you end up being part of God, and everything goes sideways for it. But that ego, those parts are all part of the experience. Sorry, looking at my rearview mirror, there's this girl doing a three-way turn behind me, and she's like frozen in fear, crossed across the road as a whole bunch of cars came. But ego is there to protect us. It's our greatest gift, but it doesn't rule the roost. It doesn't run the show. So take a look at those things. Start looking at where you're turning normal everyday experience into hell and validating that this is a bad place, and then turn around and see where heaven is and how heaven's looking, and how you could look at these things in heaven and in positive, and just report back, say something in the quotes. I want more and more people to try this, and then come back and say, holy shit, that made a difference. Holy shit, my ego was mad. Holy shit, was this. These are the experiences that I'm having inside myself, and I try and share them all, but there are millions of them happening all the time, every day now. And I want to share the fact that you're creating your heaven or hell. And the more and more you say you're not, and that's bullshit, the more and more you're killing yourself. So I love you. I hope this resonates, and you'll find a way one way or the other. Have a good one. See you soon.